with us having township board and everybody here, we normally don't do it, but I think we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves and tell what township and whether you're on the board or so forth. But anyhow, I'm Dwayne Ward, I'm Madison Township trustee, and I'm chairman of the fire territory. I know.
Melissa Darling, secretary for the territory.
All right,
Dan, my name is Dan Doolin, I'm the fire chief.
come across, I don't care. Debbie?
I'm Debbie Lowe from the Carroll County Comment.
All right,
Yeah.
Justin
Darling, assistant fire chief, Delphi.
Boy,
All right.
too much swiveling.
Leanne Aldrich, board member, territory.
Anita Willing, Mayor, Delphi.
She's our new mayor, Anita, all right, come on up here,
Jack Begley, Tiffany Township Board.
okay?
Betsy, Tiffany Township. Marcia Jura, trustee, Tiffany Township.
Doris McClellan, Deer Creek Township trustee.
David McCain, Deer Creek Township Board.
Norm Anderson, Madison, Advisory Board.
Dan LePage, Madison Township.
D. Humbarger, Madison Township.
Cameron Nates, Delphi Fire, newly appointed Board of Works.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. I'm gonna have Melissa read the minutes of the last meeting, of course, please.
Do all the board members have a copy of the minutes? Delphi Township Fire Territory Board met on August 26, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. at the Delphi Fire Station. Board members Marcia Jura, Dwayne Ward, Leanne Aldrich, Doris McClellan, and Mayor Anita Whirling were in attendance. Also in attendance were Spencer Kingery, Phil Schock, Pat Clausen, Justin Darling, Dan Doolin, Daryl Sterrett, Melissa Darling, Jack Bagley, and Debbie Lowe. Chairman Dwayne Ward called the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. The minutes from the July 22nd, 2020 meeting were approved as read. Old business presented by Chief Dan Doolin. Number 1, truck repairs. Truck 502, hose valves need replaced. After this was replaced, pump testing for the truck will begin. Number 2, grass rig. Daryl Sterrett reported that he and James Bishop will be going to Missouri on September 17th to do a final inspection of the grass rig. If all is well with the rig, the truck will be delivered by Sentinel. Number 3, escrow balance explanation. Leanne Aldrich reported on the escrow balance on the mortgage statement. The money in the escrow is money that wasn't used upon completion of the building. The closing of the building took place before the building was complete. There was $14,000 in this escrow account to be used to complete the building. By vote, the board can use this money towards things that were bid in the original plan for the building. Dan asked about these funds being used for radio tower and or generator for the building, but Daryl said that the tower and generator were not priced in the plans. New business presented by Chief Dan Doolin. Number 1, auto mutual aid. Dan reported that the mutual aid map was approved at the county fire chiefs meeting. House fires and entrapment runs will have dual tones so that there will be little to no delay in calling an assisting department. Dan said he needs to contact some departments that are outside Carroll County to confirm they are willing to be dual toned with Delphi. This mutual aid system will be put in place after the dispatch coordinator takes a video. Number 2, grain bin rescue training. The Carroll County FFA received grant funding for each fire department in the county to receive grain bin rescue equipment. The FFA put on a training for each department recently. Number 3, Dwayne Ward introduced Delphi's new mayor, Anita Whirling, to the board and all in attendance. Number 4, under 2021 budget, the 429 fund. Leanne told Dan that he cannot use a 429 number for the billing income expenditures. Only capital expenditures can be a 400 number. Currently, the funds generated from the billing goes into the 428 fund. A new fund must be set up by resolution or ordinance. Dan wondered if the current building ordinance 13-1 covers this or a new one will need written. Dan believes that an attorney needs to look into creating a new fund and how to spend the funds. Leanne gave a motion to the board to table the 429 fund idea until legal advice can be sought. Doris seconded the motion. Motion passed. Leanne told the board that she would contact an attorney about this. Still under budget, Marcia Dura asked the fire chief if the numbers given at the last meeting are his proposed 2021 budget. He told the board what it is. Dan told the board that he received his numbers for the proposed budget from the past 4 years' tax income and what is projected for 2021. The project tax revenue for 2021 is $148,000. Leanne told the board that Baker Tilly projects that 2022 and 23 will be even lower because of the economic impact of the pandemic. Leanne cautioned against using savings for additional appropriations to cover shortages in the budget. Dan still believes that money can be saved if the mortgage for the building is paid off with CD funds. Marcia Jura mentioned that she thinks it would be hard to recoup these saving funds now. Pat Clausen stated that he doesn't want to see the savings spent. He wondered how the territory got such substantial savings. The board told him that it came when the townships merged together to form the territory. Under firefighter pay incentive, Mayor Whirling told the board that the city council thinks it's a great idea to provide incentive for the volunteers. The key will be to finding the money to fund it. Darrell Stara asked if there would be a compromise in restructuring the current firefighter pay for the proposed point system. Bill Schock said that he thinks there should be a starting point for volunteer pay. The city council will be meeting on September 8th to go over budgets. The territory board will be having a joint meeting with Deer Creek, Madison, and Tippecanoe Township boards on September 16th at 5:30 p.m. at the Delphi Fire Station to approve the 2021 budget. Number 5, grants. Leanne asked if Dan could give her a detailed written description of each grant the department has applied for. Number 6, Leanne gave a motion to adjourn the meeting. Doris seconded. The motion passed. The next meeting will be September 16th at 5:30 p.m.
Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll approve them as read. Okay. Dan, I guess I'll turn it over to you to go over mainly, I guess, budget tonight. Okay, have you got any other things besides that you wanna talk about, I should ask?
Just the resolution for the billing
Oh,
ordinance, which was mentioned in the previous minutes. We didn't find a signed copy under the 13-1. Melissa looked it up in some minutes from 2013 and said that it was resolution 13-7 that was taken to the city council and signed by the city council at that time.
I have the minutes from October and December of 13, if any of the board wants to look at those minutes regarding that. Anybody want a copy of that?
I don't want to misspeak, so please feel free to, Leanne felt the language in the resolution that I had at the last month's meeting would allow for the billing to have a separate fund, which she would identify as appropriate. So the language in that resolution would meet the needs for the territory to continue doing that. And then it specifically mentions that the funds would be a separate fund, how they would be spent in accordance with the resolution and the state statute that regulates the fire billing for equipment. So I don't know what we need to do if the minutes outline that the resolution was already signed, or if we just need to reintroduce it. I'm just looking for guidance from the board on that.
what's the feeling of the board members? You think we ought to reintroduce it, maybe?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't have time to study it. We did look in the ordinance book, we could not find a copy of 13-7. There's no official signed copy in the ordinance book. Which I find very unusual. All your ordinances and resolutions with always in the past have not been an issue. I do not know why that would not be in.
So can we just, maybe between now and the next meeting, we can, I know we looked for 13-1 and we thumbed through the rest of the 13s, I think, but if she's saying it's 13-7, maybe we can just confirm, and then if not, we can revisit the wording of that resolution that was mentioned in the minutes and try to move forward next month.
I think if you'll drop off a copy of that too, I'll look into it with the two attorneys, because I don't know if the fire territory itself did a resolution, or if the city council did a resolution.
I don't remember either.
That's a big difference.
I don't. If it's all right, let's wait till the next meeting, is that okay?
Well, I think if it confirms and it's there, I don't think.
Okay, all right.
I don't think you need to wait, the resolution would be on the books, so
Okay.
so I assume you're going with the 200 number fund, since you're not accumulating that much, so there wouldn't be an issue if that resolution
Right.
exists. So I don't think you have to wait till the next meeting. If the resolution exists and is on the books, your 200 number, first available fund number could be used to move that money into it.
But if it's not there, then we could revisit it next month with the wording that was.
Sure,
I-
you have plenty of time, I just want to make sure that you don't end up in a situation again where that money goes into your general account. I want that money to stay in that specific fund, so it becomes a rotating fund, and those funds are always there.
Okay, we don't need a motion for it, really, do we? Okay, then let's just do it that way, to the next meeting, okay? Anything else you want to bring up?
Nothing, they're supposed to be, heading out to Missouri tomorrow to, approve or look at and hopefully bring home the brush truck. So, that was in last month's meeting minutes, so that's the update on that.
Okay, on the budget. Has all of you looked at the papers and looked at the decreases and increases and so forth? Comments, questions? So approximately, if I figured it right, and I don't know that I was right, but it was about 18,000 more, is that correct?
I thought it was 5,000.
I mean, I
So
went through the
the-
minuses, then through the
Okay.
pluses, and maybe I looked at it wrong.
So let me just look. So the 427, the actual operating budget was $5,350 more than what the budget was last year. The capital 428 budget is $7,800 more than what it was last year.
Okay, then I read it wrong, that's why.
So overall operating is 5350 more than last year. Most of that, and then I'm sorry, so then the 7,800 increase for capital is mostly to cover new turnout gear. Until this year, we hadn't purchased new turnout gear in about 3 years, and it lasts for 10 years. We have several sets that need to be replaced. So the increase for the capital had nothing to do with fire pay or anything like that. It was just that we were looking to replace turnout gear, so.
Okay, so you're saying, again, I was listening and I forgot.
Nope, okay, so 427 operating fund is an increase of $5,350 over the 2020 budget. The increase in the capital expenditure 428 line budget is $7,800. So that's roughly $14,000. Right.
Total.
Yeah.
Debbie, don't you put the paper, I forgot.
I already got it down.
I see you
Yeah,
grin.
yeah, I got it down.
Alright. Okay, so you heard what the chief said. Any questions or comments to it? Anybody? Can't, you think we can handle it without any problem? Hopefully, if the money comes in?
You're gonna submit it to DLTA, And VLGF's gonna send you a budget notice, as they've done in the past, and they're probably going to cut you.
Okay.
So then at that point in time, when you're notified with your 1782 notice, you're notified what your cut, the amount that they'll approve, then you'll just have to adjust your budget. It's been done before.
Any other questions on what's been said and discussed? Do I have a motion to accept the budget? Okay.
Do we have to board
I think it would help. But remember, Township has to agree with it first
I
before
suppose
they.
I ask questions, but I think this will go on to really. Anybody? You got other questions?
I would be happy to answer any questions or concerns that anybody has about any of it.
Yeah, I'm,
This is going back to a little bit from the past meeting. I know in talking with Marcia a little bit, understanding the money that was put aside to get the mortgage or get the funding for the, couple of questions I have, because I'll finish up, but the funding, the way the funding was raised, is that just a simple interest? Is it a fixed interest where it was loaded up front and it's not gonna matter whether it's paid off early? And what is the interest?
Leanne, can you answer that?
It is a fixed interest rate, and as far as I know, there is no penalty to pay off.
No, okay. What, do you know what the rate is? What I'm wondering is the difference between that mortgage rate and what's being paid on the money sitting there that's tied up. Because my thought is, and I kinda agree with the idea of getting it paid off. It would be that if you paid the building off, you needed funds for something, you would be able to use the building as collateral to get the funds. And so, would it not be cheaper, especially if it's a simple interest, no penalty payoff, and the difference in interest between, what you're getting on the money sitting there doing nothing, and what was it? Was the term 14,000 interest a year? Is that what you were saying last meeting?
I think it was $12,800 last year.
Okay, so, if you're paying 12,800 in interest, and you're only seeing, I don't know how much you have in there, but I would venture to say you're probably seeing less by quite a bit than that on the money sitting tied up. Why not? And that would affect the budget then, I think.
What do we have in it? I'm not sure now. You know,
You got 400,000, and that's easy.
any other comments?
Or even questions about just line items on the budget, like unrelated to the mortgage or just the budget. I'd be happy to try to explain how I came up with or changed anything on there.
Anybody got any questions on line items?
I guess I'm low and dark on the 15,000 for the firefighter run pay. Can you kind of explain that, please?
Right, so, in the last few years, I think a few years would be fair, the overall participation is down. It's not too hard to get a good turnout on a house fire. We had a house fire this morning, had a good turnout. The not so exciting calls at 2 in the morning. The pager goes off over and over again. It would be kind of an incentive to get people to participate with that. The other thing that we have a hard time with, and everybody's busy, so I understand that, but is to get people to show up to training. Part of the firefighter run pay incentive would be that you had to attend a certain amount of trainings a year, so when you do show up at the call, you have some knowledge in how to perform. So you based on a point system, so if you showed up to the fire today, you got a point. If you showed up to the car crash yesterday, you got a point. And, it would be at the end of the year, how many points are possible for everybody's attendance. Last year, there was about 950 points if we were to do that system, so you just divide it by $15,000, and then, you know, each person would get about $13 per call. It's not per hour, it's just, you know, per call. I've gotten this plan and put it together from other departments that have used it, where they've shown increased attendance and training and a little bit of increased attendance and runs. And then it's also an incentive, this might be surprising, but no one's knocking down our doors looking to be a volunteer fireman. So if there's some type of incentive that we can use to advertise also, you know, hey, it's volunteer, you're not gonna get rich doing this. In fact, it's probably gonna cost you money in the long run, but at the end of the year, here's a little something for your time. So that's kind of what that firefighter run pay is based off of.
I might say it as well as you guys know, we don't have the businesses and the manufacturing where we can have the people in this town that we used to have, that was been on the fire department years ago. So I understand where they're coming from, because it's even hard to find somebody, the way I hear them talking, to be here to get the truck out when the alarm goes off, you know what I'm saying? Isn't that correct, Danny? So,
And it's
a little bit of
definitely
incentive.
nothing against the personnel that we have. I mean, everybody's committed. It's just sometimes easier at 2 in the morning when the alarm's going off at the Canal Commons for the 3rd time in a week to just roll back over, you know, and not go. So, I assure you that if there was a car accident or there was a house on fire, everybody that was in town or in the area would be showing up. It's for the other responsibilities that we have that we don't get quite the participation that we need.
Okay, any other questions as far as money-wise and so forth? Dale?
Do we know that, when the budget is submitted to the DLGF, if they take into consideration the cash surplus that we have, does that play any factor in what we're given? So for instance, if we paid off the mortgage and we didn't have that cash surplus, then it doesn't come back against us as a negative impact. Do we know how that plays a role in the budget?
DLGF looks mostly at revenue. I would say practically all their decisions based on anticipated revenue came.
Okay.
But I can confirm that for you. But in the past, that's been the biggest issue. Anytime I submit stuff, it's the revenue that you received in the last 6 months of the previous year and what you've received in this year. And they compare that and then anticipate revenue.
Okay.
So I would just mention that, all of the figures were based upon the previous 4 years' tax revenue for our area. And unfortunately, this is a COVID year, right? So I mean, like, we expect there to be issues. This is the absolute wrong year for me to come in and say, I would like any increase whatsoever. So I understand that, and, after talking to Leanne, I understand that the DLGF could come back and say, no, this isn't gonna work, you have to make some changes, and then if that's what they say, then that's what we're willing to do. I guess what I'm asking for, is support on this, knowing that they could come back and say it's too much, but we're asking, and it's just, you know, our way of trying to move forward from this. It's a terrible year to ask, but, you know, that's the support that I'm looking for now, and understanding that the DLGF might look at it completely different and tell me to go back to the drawing board, so.
Any other questions? I'd like to have a motion to accept the budget.
I think, Dwayne, your township boards have to first accept the budget, and they report that to you, and then the fire territory board accepts it.
They have to do it first, you're saying, is that what you're
Yes,
saying, Timmy?
I'm positive of that, Dwayne.
That's what I said.
Okay, I misinterpreted that, so, all right, so, we do it individually each board? I mean, according to,
Well, you're,
or they can do it here?
yeah, you
Okay, I
can
got
do
what
it
you're
here.
saying,
It
Jimmy.
should have been
Wake
done
up.
prior, but you could do it here tonight, and it's still official.
Okay.
Dwayne?
Then I'll start with Deer Creek Township.
Hold up, Dwayne, Debbie was,
Well, have the townships advertised or give notice to the paper that they're meeting tonight?
I'm not sure if we have, I mean, I
No.
know township wise we haven't, no.
Right. How can you have a vote if you're not meeting legally? And Doris only has one township,
I know.
board
I'm
member.
supposed to have, I'm not sure what happened to the other two.
Yeah,
girls.
yeah,
Well, you're probably right on that, Debbie, it wasn't even,
I know,
I told you.
I know.
No,
I'm, I'm sorry, I was trying to keep, but it just,
know
you know,
me.
you want it to go right, you know, you want it to go right, yeah.
Okay, so then, each township will have to take it back and vote on it, is that correct? And then we'll bring it back to the board, to the fire board.
So how much notice? What's the requirement, like if you were to have it in the paper next week?
It doesn't have to be in the paper, it just has to come to the paper, me, usually, 48 hours, excluding weekends and holidays.
Do we have to have a decision made before council?
Second reading of the budget and the public hearing on the budget is the 21st,
When is it, Anita?
Monday, September 21st, and then the
So
final
it's Monday
reading,
night. So,
the final reading will be October 5th.
What could happen is they could all give notice right now that they're meeting 48 hours from now, or whatever that is. And you all could set a meeting, the territory board could set the meeting, Saturday, I don't care.
oh, I always have Saturday call.
Just as an example. Monday at noon, I mean, whatever.
All right. Marcia, George, can we do it? So,
For the hours.
Wednesday, I think Friday evening, right? That'd be right?
yeah.
Will that work with you?
Friday night.
Yeah. I mean, your board meets Friday night. And I know it ain't gonna take long, but we have to do it.
My other two kids. Friday night.
Can you guys do it, my guys? Friday evening? Okay,
6 o'clock. And is the territory board then meeting at the same time? I mean, you can all, meet at once and just a suggestion.
So was there a notice was there something in the paper about the meeting tonight?
That's why 6 o'clock.
I knew about it.
48 hours.
you got it from last meeting, correct?
I did, and I put it in the newspaper,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be
Last
there.
meeting.
But that notice that there was a meeting in the paper, like that article where it said there would be a joint township meeting in the paper, isn't the notice that it was meeting for tonight?
What did I say? Did I
You
say
said
that?
there would be a joint township territory meeting in the paper.
Yeah, that's, if you wanted to get with that, I probably wouldn't complain, that it's pretty loose.
You're that way, have it. You're saying have a joint meeting, but each
What
township.
Dan is saying is that the article was already in the paper that said this was a joint township and territory board meeting.
Give
Should
it
be
the
legal
time.
notice that those meetings were gonna happen tonight.
Mhm.
This is a citizen's opinion, but I would go ahead and
Yeah.
have the boards meet on it and vote on it and have the territory vote on it tonight.
Tonight,
You're right, I saw it.
I think we can too, can't we?
It
I mean,
was,
that's-
it's just that it's,
That-
it's a
part
real
of the
fine
reason we
line
had all the
because
board
y'all
members
didn't give me notice.
Supposed to be here, correct?
He can't notice the Tippecanoe Township, but y'all did agree, so I'll go with it.
Yeah, we did. So, we agreed.
Okay.
Okay, what's gonna happen when I only just have one
I
board,
mean,
and the other
Doris
two
is-
didn't show up?
You have to get on the phone, call them, Dory.
Pardon me?
I would think the simple phone call.
Now,
I don't know why that wouldn't work.
except I don't have the board numbers.
Does that have to actually be documented?
They can't call and vote. They can't vote over the phone.
I thought they were coming, something came up that they did know that we were going to meet, and I always called them.
Should we call, see if they can,
Pardon me?
see if they just forgot?
Okay.
Yeah, should have said that. Well, I just, no,
I'm pretty sure it's that.
did I?
I know it's a joint.
It could have.
Give us a minute, folks. Sorry. Give us a minute.
You know, after I read it.
Jamie does, I'm not sure if Morgan doesn't.
I know they have.
Well, let's just go with it. I mean, I can, I don't think you lie.
I don't want to be the guy that's wrong.
Well, I don't wanna be the girl that's wrong about it.
So I'll just run over there.
It's okay, Dan.
David James Smith,
Somebody have a phone? You got a phone?
You got a phone book?
What's that?
I have a Googler.
I have Gil's number.
maybe he can call
We need David
Jamie and
James.
see, I'm not sure what happened.
I have Janie Smith.
Yeah, okay,
What,
she's
hang
got his
on,
number.
we're coming up with something.
Do you want me to go grab a copy of the newspaper to make sure it's written correctly in the newspaper?
No, I didn't bring up his numbers.
She's very close.
You got Morgan, I left my phone out there, but I got Morgan.
Oh, I think, yeah.
This is David
Township,
McCain.
the fire
Where you at? We're wanting you to come
territories would have to
at the firehouse. Can you possibly come to the
suspend or
firehouse?
stop their meeting, take a break, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we would, each of the three townships.
Yeah, but we're waiting on,
Take a break, vote
for
on
you to vote.
it, adjourn our meeting, and then
Leader for a quorum.
the other meeting could
We've
resume.
done that.
Well, I don't, here, talk to her.
But we was meeting tonight.
Yeah.
I did return the call for you.
The territory.
They had met, or she, one of them submitted a letter.
But we're okay as far as.
Okay, well,